me start over. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are listening from. Welcome to the Rude Boys Sound. I'm DJ Paul for Tottenham, USA. And I have a video. It's about 20 something minutes long. I cut it down from 40. It was supposed to be a two-part video just trying to explain what I think about how Spurs play, how Ange system works, and what effect it will have on the players. I did not know at the time in October that come February that the exact things I was talking about then manifested itself along the way. So without further ado, I'm going to step aside and you can take a listen to this video which was recorded right after the West Ham game. I did coach youth soccer. My daughter played up to high school, and she got injury prone, wherein she just had to give it up, and she changed from to field sports where she was doing the discus and the shot put. So I didn't get to see my daughter play in I think she played high school year. Varsity. She was her knees were gone, her ankle was gone, and so that's where pretty much the interest in football, soccer kind of waned from it, because now I didn't have much because I was coaching my daughter at the time, and pretty much she was playing in midfield, and she was a great passer of the ball, which I really, really love. So I've done my thing. I also run clinics. I do private coaching. And also, one of the things when I moved to the area, because I was living in New York and I moved out to Pennsylvania. And also, my daughter is pretty athletic, because she's one of the national champions in Taekwondo. And so when she left New York, she said she didn't want to continue if she wasn't going to be around the judo that she was. And then she switched to start playing soccer. So yeah, so that was me in a nutshell until she got up to high school, got injured, and changed sports. So then I just definitely switched to back to being a DJ. And now I'm just all in on Spurs, everything Spurs. So that's me in a nutshell. So I've been around. And what I was saying, I get lost in trying to tell you about my daughter and my advent into coaching, is that people on social media, right? When I'm talking about football, want to tell me to, I don't know nothing about football because I'm an American. I'm not an American. Well, I'm an American. I'm an American citizen. Let me take that back in a hurry. Okay, I do reside in America, and I'm an American citizen. But first and watching football, world football, I already accumulate all of that. I coached in Jamaica and I coached in the United States. So for those who begin to tell me that I don't know anything about football and I should stick to whatever it is, basketball or whatever it is, get a hold of yourself. I've seen and done more in football than some of you who are keyboard warriors. So we're not going there, right? and so here I am. Here I am putting my thoughts together as far as Spurs are concerned. So I'm going to actually do a video that does not include me. Just talk about football, talk about everything that has to do with football. I just want people to get an understanding that there's some things I do know about football. I coached, I played, I do seminars, I do all the things that's necessary, around football. It's just that sometimes life happens and you take a different route. But I'm all Spurs, and I've been a Spurs fan for the greater part of 40 years, and so I've seen the good, I've seen the bad, and so we go with it. If there's one thing I would change as a Spurs fan, I want to change it, and I want to change it so bad. Is it hurts me? It's something inside of me. I take it as a personal insult, and Sava will tell you how much I went at him for that, and it's being called Spursy. I hate it. I hate the term with every fiber in me as a Spurs fan, and what hurts more than anything is when an actual Spurs fan use the term. I hate the term, if you will believe this, more than how I'm prone to hating Arsenal. That's the kind of hate that I have just for that term. So I want us to win. I want us to win something. I want us to win something so bad, just to get rid of that term, just to make sure that no one refers to us as being Spursy. So hopefully this year, right, on the Ange, I have my take on Ange. Right, I do have my take on Ange, and this is what I'm going to say. So for those who have already seen any of my videos or my comments or anything like that, I'm with him. I'm 100% with him. But there are things that Ange does that I don't agree with and will never agree with it. Right? Even though I love the system, I love the front foot football, I love the running and the gunning, I love all of that. But there is something to be said about having a good defense. And this is what I'm going to say. And I hope people understand where I'm going with this. Unai Emery took over Aston Villa, right? And the first thing that he did was go to a 4-4-2. And you know why he went to a 4-4-2? He went to a 4-4-2 because you can do anything out of a 4-4-2, right? Old back in the days, it was 4-2-4. 4 across the front, 2 in the middle, 4 at the back. That's old school football. But in this climate wherein everything is determined, or the emphasis is being placed on the offense, you have to find ways to stem the tide. And when you come in the middle of the season, what more sensible thing to do than to make sure that, one, you're not losing. And that's what 4-4-2 does for you. 4-4-2 allows you to come out, because you can come out of a 4-4-2 and go to a 1-2-3. Right? 4-1-2-3, or you can easily go to a 4-2-1-3. It's easy. But you know what that foundation does for you? It helps you to stop the ball. Right? Because when you have a 4-4-2, right, guess what's going to happen? You're not going to have the fullbacks overlapping the midfielder or the wingers. You're not going to have the midfield pushing up too high. The midfield is going to stay in the midfield area to offer support, right, to make sure that you're not breaching. What does that do? It protects your back line. And that's the most important thing. If you're not exposing your back line, chances are you're not going to give up goals. And I don't see that. I'm not saying Ange should go to a 4-4-2. By no stretch of your imagination. What I'm saying is that you cannot and should not, and I will never accept that, you're going to be that guy who put the offense so far ahead of the defense that you can see the follies, right, within the tactics or the formation, to know that you're overexposing the defense in the name of offense. And we can have it good because we have capable defenders. I think Romero and Van de Ven are two of the best pair in the Premier League. But when you put Udogie and Porro on the outside, the entire back line overall diminishes a little, because Udogie, even though he's talented, does not have that experience and that overall quality that when you look at Romero and you look at Van de Ven, they're on par. Porro is still learning. And one of the great things, and I will give Ange credit for that, he didn't throw away the 2 wing backs that he inherited. Because remember that these 2 guys came in pretty much for Conte, and Conte plays with wing back. He doesn't play with fullbacks. So you want to give Ange credit for that, to say, look, I'm not going to throw them out. I'm going to make them into fullbacks. But when you really look at it, is he really using them as fullbacks? Are they really fullbacks? Because there's a difference, right? And follow me on this, right? I'm going to try to illustrate it so that we're on the same page. There's a difference with inverting the fullbacks, right? Because when you invert the fullbacks, right, and the terminology is getting away from me as I don't like anything inverted, right? So when you invert the fullbacks, it means that by nature, they are supposed to come inside. If they come inside, then your central defenders are supposed to split wider because now you have your fullbacks in front of them pairing now with the holding midfielder who is going to push up. So your defense, right, should start in the midfield wherein you're going to have a holding midfielder and then you're supposed to have your two fullbacks in there offering more solid ground in there. But that's not what's happening. We take this old inverted thing to another level. This is what we're doing, right? And I might say this, and people might not agree with me. If you look how Arsenal play the inverted fullback, that's the way you play it. Box. If you inverting the fullbacks were never supposed to be anything to do with your offense. It is supposed to make sure your midfield becomes stronger and you can therefore attack with five, and behind that five you have stability. You have two players on the outside because remember, they're not wing backs, they're fullbacks. So they're defenders in essence. So you can't flip the role of taking your fullbacks and turning them into wingbacks, because what's happening now is that the fullbacks are not only coming inside. As a matter of fact, they're not coming inside at all. They're just darting up the pitch, and they're ending up on the 18-yard box. When you end up there, you tell me where the other five is going to go. So you have a mass congestion. You have peak hour traffic every time we have the ball. The midfielder don't know where to go because the fullback is there. So where's the midfielder going to go? The winger can't come inside because the midfielder is there, right, on both sides. So instead of doing it in what I call in a judiciary manner, wherein you allow the winger to come inside, and then as a fullback you go on the outside, right, to provide that width, because this is the folly again of modern day football, right? You take the right footer and you put him on the left wing and he can cross the ball with his left foot, and vice versa, you do the same thing on the other side. Do you know that Brennan Johnson is the only player I see right now in the league as a winger that is playing from his natural side? Brennan Johnson, the only player in the Premier League that is starting as a right winger who is actually a right winger. Everybody else is inverted. And so what happened with that, let me stay with the fullback because I'm going to show you how the fullback messes up everything, right? So if you're going to use your fullbacks, right, and they're inside, then it's a cluster, right? If you use your fullbacks, right, one, in my estimation, should attack not both in tandem. One goes down, the other one comes short inside. Now you start providing that defense in front of the center back with the midfielder in there, the number 6. So now you have two players in there, one going up in the attack. So now you change from attacking with 5 to attacking with 6, right? That's cool. Because what's going to happen is that the winger on either side, depending on who you're attacking with, is going to come inside. What do you need the fullbacks for now? You need them to provide the additional width so you can cross that ball in. That's not happening. So what we get more than anything else is that we have strikers who are not being serviced. We have strikers who are not being able to use their head. We have strikers who don't know where to go, because when you look around, you have the fullback right next to him, you have the winger next to him, and chances are you have somebody else, maybe another midfielder next to him. So where is he going to go in all of this mess, right? And we're talking about when they're being marked. So when you do that and you bring other people in there, you're bringing markers in there with you. The idea, I think, of football is not to get clustered. The idea of football is to uncluster yourself, create space, let the ball move through the channels. What we're doing right? And I might say this before, and I'm going to say it again. I think it's a gross misrepresentation of attacking spaces. Why do I say that? You don't need to attack the space. You need to move through the space. You need to pass through the space. You need to allow the creative players to come and use that space. So there's no need, in other words, for you, Dogie, to be standing on the 18-yard box. You need it for your number 10 and your number 8. Or if the number 10 and number 8 is further to the right, then you need your winger to come inside to fill that gap, so you have weak side representation when the ball is far right. And then what does the fullback does? The fullback's supposed to now go down and pick up where the winger leave from. So you always have a representation in the areas that you're supposed to be in. We're not doing that. What we're doing is that we're just flooding the zone. We're just up in the final third. If you really look at it, and you look at the West Ham game, and you can see what joy it was when Son started to come inside and your Dogie start to go around the back and go down and start putting the crosses in. You could see it makes a big difference. So my thing with that is that that's not a player's issue. That's not on the players. That's the manager. And if the manager don't have a problem with his fullback diving inside, then the players are not going to have a problem with it. But the question is, how productive are the players diving inside? How productive are we playing slow with the ball at Ramirez's feet, having the ball for 65% and doing nothing with it? How productive are we? How productive do we become when the ball is moving? When Vic put the ball down, pass it to the number 6, and number 6 to the fullback down the line or inside, and we're moving, so we're in gear. What it does is that it prevents the defense from setting. And also what it does for you as a defender is that it makes you react differently, because your perpetual movement now is going to take you back to the other side. If you're not on your heels trying to figure out when you're going to get the pass, if you're moving to get the pass and it breaks down, your reaction time is going to be much different than you standing on the 18-yard box waiting for a pass. What is also happening in that case is that when Son is coming inside, he's not supposed to be looking up and seeing Udogie. The only person he's supposed to see maybe is Madison. And when he looks inside, he's supposed to be seeing Solanke. But what are we doing here? When Son looks up when he's coming inside, he has to give a pass to Udogie. Because if he don't, then Udogie is being wasted. And what is Udogie doing? He's taking a marker in there with him to fill up the space. No, leave that space open. Let it breathe. Let it breathe. If you bring a marker in there, then the defender has far less place to go without covering a man, because all he's going to do is go man to man. And if you move, he moves. When you have space to go into, then he has to vacate that space. And what that does to the opposing fullback, you either pin him or pin the winger. Because when you go on the outside and the winger go inside, somebody has to go with him. Because if no one goes with him, then pretty much you're going to have a field day putting crosses in. And then what that also does for you is that it prevents fast breaks. It prevents the winger from leaking out, because the winger now have a responsibility to come back and defend. And so the way you play your offense does help the way you set up your defense. And there's no reason why we should always be facing our own goal. And that's because of bad defensive posture. Posture in the sense that the formation is what allows us to have those bad posture. The thing with it, if you look even at the goal that was scored against us by Kudus, is that everyone were 6s and 9s. Brennan Johnson wasn't far back enough. Romero had somebody, but should he have been the man he should have? Kulusevski was nowhere to be found. He was in the middle of the pitch, and everybody else was over there trying to go after one ball, because Udogie was beaten. And so we have this, and it stems from who goes, who stays, who cover. Because if everyone is running back and everyone is facing the goal, who is responsible for who? And that's the problem we're having. We can go back and look at the Brighton game. Who was responsible for the goal, for Walcott goal? Welbeck, not Walcott. I'm still thinking about but Daniel Welbeck. Who was responsible for his goal? You're gonna say Kulu, but maybe not. You know what I'm saying? Because you look at how the coverage and or the rotation goes. Why did he end up where he ended up? He ended up because Udogi was chasing the ball. And so rather than going man for man, you try to cover space. He didn't get any help because Para was nowhere around. And we end up in those situations far too often. So we pretty much need to take a look at that to see why are we being so vulnerable. And I can tell you that it starts with the fullback. Start with the fullbacks. And until we start understanding that in the base of the defense, we cannot, should not be attacking with 8 and leaving 2 to cover because it's too much space to cover. And we're going to pop Van der Ven hamstring if we continue to defend like that. You play fast, you play smart. Okay, you don't put the ball at Romero's feet and he held on to it and pass it 5 yards. Because then you begin to play into the defense. There's no reason for us to have 65% of the ball and we're down. There's no need for us to have 65% of the ball and 25% of that spent in our own half, bouncing it between Vic Romero and Van der Ven. Shouldn't be. That's not on the players. Submit that. That's on the manager. Sound like I'm really hitting the manager? Yes, I am. I'm hitting the manager because the manager is responsible for seeing and overseeing what needs to get done. Being a coach myself, you got to take responsibility for that. We all look at the game differently. We all should see the game differently. We all should be looking at not what we're doing, so to speak, but what is the opposition doing to counter what you are doing. And if you are playing against a team and the team is announced and you see, well, they're going 4-2-1-3, right? I said, okay, I can deal with that. It's really a wash whether or not I'm playing 4-1-2-3. That's fine. But then the team turned around and said, I got you. I'm going to go 4-4-2 because now I don't want to be as offensive as I think I should be. I want to stop you from getting out and running. And what do you do when they do that? It's up to you. How do you counter the 4-4-2? That's the manager's job. And that's a direction that you get from off the pitch. And then the players fit in. But if you're going to say, I'm Mr. Manager and I'm going to ram this down your throat, I'm going to impress my style upon you no matter what you do, and I expect the same results, even though tactically it is not a good fit, then something is wrong with your management ability. I think I started out talking about me and end up beating up on the manager some, but that's me. I can go off on a tangent at any time and talk about just about anything. What I would like to do is for you to get engaged and leave a comment if you don't mind. Leave a like, or a thumbs down. You don't have to like it, but at least I want to see what the viewership is like. I'm not looking to build a channel for monetary value or anything like that. I'm way past that. I'm not looking to monetize anything that I'm doing. right here. I just want to add my voice to the community, get in there, mix it up, and just have a discussion. I don't think I'm going to do anything live, but my wish still is to hopefully get on and have a conversation. I pick and choose, who I want.